Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel today. I'm Kevin and today we're back to our first World War topic. So yeah, in our last topic we already talked about a lot of things, but those things are just on the ground. And before we go into our topic today, I want to tell you guys about the time that I've been off since last week. So even though I already told this in my Vietnamese videos, but some of you guys maybe don't have the chance to hear. So in video, I'll talk about it again. That I have a week to, let's say, okay, relax because I have so many things to do, and that my family decided to give give the whole family a chance or time to relax after a whole years of hard working. So the reason for that my delay in the video last week, that's because I need time to relax, and of course I skip doing video. So that's all. So today we're back to our first World War topic, and our topic today is about a new whole area in the First World War, or we could say the inventions of the god of air, the things that once fear all over the world and spread the fearness into the enemies. That is the Zeppelins, right? Today we're going to talk about the inventions of Zeppelin and how that is affect the First World War. So while fighting on land and seas will keep being, let's say, rigid and extremely dangerous, the generals in both sides are trying to find a new tactics of attack so that they could make the attacks more efficient and also better to gain back the place that I have lost. So they ordered the aircraft designers to make a bigger and more powerful planes than usual to carry bombs and passengers or soldiers on that, so they could get more, let's say, more power in an attack, especially in those attacks when they need bombs and when they need planes for the soldiers and for the weapons. So after that, the Germans sent a formidable new invention lumbering across the skies, which is known as the Zeppelins. The Zeppelins was made by a general of Germany, Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin. This is the father of his brainchild Zeppelins. He created this Zeppelin by his idea, and of course spent a lot of time to talk with his friend and his teammates to make it. So in the early of 19 okay, in 1 and 900, dozens of inventors were working to creating the planes that could carry more bombs and have a powerful fire with big amount of passengers. But the Zeppelins was one of the best. Instead of relying on a balloon to flip off the ground, the Zeppelins focus on the air, which is hydrogen inside it. So for some of you guys who don't know about the shape and also about the way that the Zeppelin work, it is, let's say, like a big balloon. The shape is like an ellipse and it's very long. It's as long as a battleship, but it's more bigger, and inside of it there is just a small part that can carry passengers, but out of that is have a very big, let's say, okay, a big empty space. And of course those things are not just exist for fun. The empty space in the Zeppelins were made so that the inventors and people can put hydrogen, or you could say blow inside the Zeppelins the hydrogen gas, and with that way the hydrogen will be full with gas. Of course it still have place for people to live, and the place that the hydrogen is carrying the whole Zeppelin will be in a different place where the passengers and soldiers live. And of course with that tactics the Zeppelins was finished and it can fly on over the skies. It is a very destructive and powerful invention from the German. So the German Navy, after the invention of these weapons, tried and began to using the Zeppelins for reconnaissance patrols above North Sea. Then, during the first month of the war, they were used to bomb Belgian fort of Liege and Antwerp. At first, some German politicians have a lot of problems with using the Zeppelins as a purpose because they have a lot of doubt about its effect and also about its power. But after that, in January 1915, the Kaiser gave the order for Zeppelins to be sent to attack British towns, which is evidence for the effect and also for the power of the Zeppelins. This is the start of the new, let's say, okay, a new field in war, because from the inventions of the Zeppelins, the whole tactic of weapons and also the way that they developed the guns has changed. French, Russia, and Germany changed their own ways of creating weapons, from normal gun to the more specific and also more powerful, but we are talking about it later. But now we keep talking on the things that the Zeppelins did during the golden time of it. So on January on 13 in 1915, a pair of Zeppelins bombed the east coast of England, killing just 4 people. Yeah, some of you guys will think this is a small number, but actually there's a lot of problems that making more difficulties for the pilots to aim to the enemies with bombs, and also different problems. The first thing that the blackout were enforced in many places during the war. This thing make it difficult for the Zeppelin pilots to spot their target, and also the menacing push and drowning grow on the airship, even though soon earned it a fearsome reputation and bring dread among the civilians and soldiers cowering in the darkness below the Zeppelins once it fly over. But it is also a sign of an attack that could be easily recognized when the Zeppelin is close to the place that it wants to attack. So that means before the Zeppelins could really come to the place, people could run out of the place that which is going to be bombed, and that's why the only things being destroyed is fractures and also the road. But there is not many people who can be killed easily by this thing because they also have time to run. But if they don't want to run, so the chance to die during the bomb rains is very high. And the Zeppelins cruise at a very high altitude. This is the important part, and also what make the Zeppelins one of the god of air during the First World War. It is stay on a very high place, so that even the soldiers cannot aim their artillery to it and shoot it out. But even when some guns shoot across the Zeppelins, because inside it there is nothing but gas, and of course the outside face of the Zeppelin was all made by, let's say, I don't know how to say this kind of materials, but we could say that inside is just a metal bones which create the shape of the Zeppelins, and the other thing else is just like cotton paper, some let's say some of the things we usually see in the balloon surface, but this is more is bigger, is more I don't know how to describe this thing or as well, but we could say it as a balloon, but it's bigger, it's harder to break, and even when there's a hole on its surface, it's not really going to explode right away because the materials which made the surface of the Zeppelins is very hard, even when it's light enough to be lifted up by the gas, but still it's not going to be a problem if the bullet hits through the Zeppelins. And of course, with that theory, once a bullet shot through the Zeppelins, it will going to go all over it. Yeah, maybe left one or two holes on the surface of the Zeppelins. But that thing are not going to cause the explosion, but losing gas slowly. But with the speed of that gas losing out, the Zeppelins and the pilots could easily drive the transportation back to the country or even to the place so that they could refuel and repair the weapon and back to the battlefield. And of course, with that things, the Zeppelins is very powerful and dangerous for the enemies. So France tried to create a new thing, which is the incendiary bullet that can set fire to the gas in the airship, setting it up in the flame. And that is the end of the golden hour of the Zeppelins. After that, Zeppelin built a new airship that could fly higher than the fighters and the the flame gun. But the German military in that time was already, let's say, developing a new weapon, the Gotha bomber. In June 1917, a group of these huge planes swarmed over London, bombing the city and killing 162 people. Yeah, a very big number, even more than like let's say it's 40 times better than the Zeppelin's bomb. The reason of this is that because the Gotha bomber is quicker, bigger, but fly higher and more powerful. But British designers quickly produced planes to fight back with even greater firepowers. And of course, even this thing is just a way to gain back the advantage from the Germans. But this development in the weapons of Germans and British was the evidence for the end of the Zeppelins as well, because at this rate there is no need for a slow but high transportation, or you could say the airship. At this time we already have a high, small ship but very fast and powerful planes, so there is no need for the Zeppelins. So after all, even when the effect of the Zeppelins on the war and on the battlefields is very good, and it is one of the greatest inventions of the First World War, which create the new era of air fight, or you could say fight on air. Yeah, whichever. I'm not good at English vocabulary as this kind of field, so I'm not going to talk more about it. But after all, the Zeppelin's effect on the First World War is not so much, even though it maybe create the new era, but itself not having many effect on the First World War and on the eventual outcome of the war. Okay, so that's all I want to talk with you guys today about the inventions of the things that once being the god of air, Zeppelins, and also how it affects the eventual comes of the First World War and creating the new era of weapons. So it's time to say goodbye and see you in my next video. Bye bye.